I said, God, give me a warning. Please take me for the morning so I leave more disappointments than I. Welcome to First and 15, the only podcast that's trying to get you paid. I'm here with two-time FFPC champ AB. Alongside him is my guy, Dio the Machine. Guys, let's do our roundup again. It's been a crazy fantasy season. I want to start off with the AFC West, kind of go through all 32 teams again. Obviously, the big news that came down today is D-Hop going to the Chiefs. So let's start with the Chiefs for a second. Do you guys think that D-Hop, going to the Chiefs is going to turn his season around because he hasn't been used in Tennessee? How do you guys think that that's going to work?
I mean, it can't get any worse. I don't necessarily know that he's like somebody that I'm like rushing to get into my lineups. We kind of been talking about this for honestly like the last 2 years, but like really this year kind of hit home. The idea that, you don't have just starters. You don't have just 10 starters. You have 20 starters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like the idea of a bench to me is just like non-existence. I just have 20 players, and week in and week out, I look at the matchups. I look at like what I need. I look at like who's performing well. I look at who's in the best situation to succeed, whose quarterback's hurt, whose quarterback's not, whose line is decimated, who's going to potentially give me the most points. And every week is a decision, and every single person on my roster is a potential starter at some point. I think I don't have a lot of D-Hop because I was on the Calvin Ridley train. Looks like if you had D-Hop, you may win this. We'll see.
Right.
But I think for me, like on the teams that I do have D-Hop, unless it's just like an absolute necessity, and this is a week like with no bye. So I think this is actually a perfect week for you just to sort of kind of wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like long-term outlook, I think it's, anybody's guess, because sometimes you just don't know how players are performing or playing on bad teams.
Yeah.
When you're not getting playing time, when you're hurt, when you're, unhappy, when you're on a team that really has no shot at winning, when your quarterback, you have very little faith that he can actually, get you the rock. You're probably not running routes the same. So, you see a lot of metrics out about, his separation and the speed score and things like that. So, a lot of the like that for me, is I just have to ignore it. Even just like my eyes, just like watching him on the field, it's up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Juju come in and do what Juju did. And I'm not trying to compare the two because I feel like every scenario is different. Juju is a couple of years now removed from his injury.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, like we looked up, he's pretty young. But D-Hop he's older, okay? And he had a recent injury. We haven't really seen him play a significant amount of snaps this year. So I think for me, I'm just going to be very, very cautious about like putting him in my starting lineup. If he's on waivers, he's definitely not somebody I'm just like, really just going after.
Breaking the bank for D-Hop?
I'm not really breaking the bank for anybody, but definitely not D-Hop. I think we got to start like ignoring names and looking at situations. How much more data do you need on the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, and what's been going on with that offense? I'm not saying that like he's been playing bad or this and that, but what I'm saying is like that offense has just not been plug and play for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Even Rasheed Wright's a young athletic wide receiver. It took him a while to get acclimated to the system and to become like what he became. And that was a special case.
Mm-hmm. And
you've seen that it's been very, very hard to sort of kind of find someone to fit his role. So, I think just for me, I'm just going to be like very, very cautious. I'm not trying to grab him. I'm not trying to throw him in my lineup. And then the other thing too is like, you got to figure out, like, this is the big thing for me is I don't know what position he's playing. I don't know if he's an outside X. I don't know if he's going to play the slot. I don't know. We can make the assumptions, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to pick up the offense. When I watch Patrick Mahomes play, they have certain design plays and they have guys that like, they want to get the ball on the move. They're a team that really prides themselves on yak. And then the rest of the plays are like they're fill plays, they're comfort plays. He has a comfort level with Kelce because he knows where he's going to kind of break.
Mm-hmm.
That rapport, I think, takes a little bit of time. So I don't know where D-Hop is going to slide in. I think the idea that he's just coming in and just going to run the same routes and he's going to be familiar with the system, I'm just cautious with that. That's just me, though.
Diane, what do you think?
I agree. I don't think you can play him yet. Like Abby was saying, this is a great week for you to actually have him on your team because there's nobody on bye. I mean, of course, injuries have ravaged everybody's, well, most people's teams.
Yeah.
But you know, in as far as the situation, this is the best situation to kind of have him because you can kind of see how it plays out. And I also agree with Abby. I'm not really sure I'm excited about the move for D-Hop. I'm probably more excited about it for maybe Mahomes because he was just so bad. People were even talking about considering dropping him or playing some other players that were either drafted way later or they picked up off the waiver over him. And it wasn't even like a crazy thing to say. You know, it was getting to a point where it's becoming very universal. So if anything, now he has another weapon. So we'll see how that goes. But kind of like what Abby's saying, when I watch that offense, it's the type of offense where they get the ball in their playmakers' hands and let them run for whatever yards they're going to get. You know, it's the way they did Rice. It's the way they did Juju. It's the way they did McCole Hardman. It's the way they did Xavier Worthy. It's like their offense has been get the ball in the playmakers' hands and let the playmakers make plays. Kelsey is the safety blanket for Mahomes. Maybe Hopkins could be a form of safety blanket because Hopkins, we know he's not a separator. We know he's not fast. He's dealing with the injury, which I think might still be hampering him. It was an MCL injury. Usually those take a fair amount of time to get healthy on. I think Hopkins missed maybe week 1, and he's been playing ever since. Now, I do recall watching, I think, a game a couple weeks ago with the Titans, and it just kind of threw me off. But I was expecting Hopkins to go in that game as the wide receiver 1 or at least being one of the main wide receivers, and I don't even think he started that game. And that was the first time I looked at like, wow, what's going on with Hopkins? And I think maybe he had 1 catch, if that. And I don't think he's really done anything for the last few weeks. So
yeah, but that's more of a product of how bad that offense is.
But that's the thing. I don't know if it was because I'm not saying I saw him running routes and he, you know, they weren't throwing the ball, he wasn't catching it or something like that. I wasn't seeing him playing. You know, regardless of how bad or good your offense is, you know, people at least are playing. He wasn't actually out there. And I don't know what to contribute to. Again, was it injury, phasing him out of the offense? You know, he just was starting to get old. You know, I don't know. So we'll see what happens. But like Abby said, that role that we like right now for the Chiefs, the 2024 Chiefs, I don't see Hopkins playing that role. Now, if they decide to change their offense, maybe they, you know, play a different type of game, maybe, you know. So that's to be determined. And then if he was available, because in all my leagues, I don't think I saw Hopkins available
I didn't see him at all.
I don't play in too many short bench leagues. Maybe that's a place where he'll probably be available. But every league, I mean, I played in a lot of different leagues. He was on somebody's team. So if he was available on waiver, I maybe would throw a fair amount of fab just because it's to some extent a mystery box. You know, he's going to offense at least with a quarterback that can do it. You know. And at this point in the season, there's not many options available to you, but I wouldn't be super excited about it. Not like I am other options.
I would say there's a couple things I want to go to or speak about regarding the KC Chiefs. So one, Andy Reid is that dude. You know, regardless of how the offense looked, that team is undefeated, and you know that he knows how to like work his offense so that they.
Is it the offense or is it the defense though?
Oh, it's definitely, you know, I'm a Spags fan. It's definitely been a defense, but that offense is still like, what I mean is like he transforms the offense based off of what's available to him. Like he's lost so many pieces and so many weapons in the receiving game that he's sort of kind of gone to this sort of kind of ground and pound and is doing this with Kareem Hunt. But I just wanted to mention that like Isaiah Pacheco is going to be back soon. You know, what
have they opened up his window yet?
I don't know, but you know, everything that I'm reading, you know, as far as like, you know, outlook and prognosis from, you know, a lot of the orthos and PTs out there sounds like, you know, realistically, like he should be like good and ready, like potentially as early as week 10.
Well, I know we're not talking about this, but if that's the case, the discussion then needs to be had is what kind of split is it going to be when he does come back? Is he going to regain his total role, or is Hunt played so well where it's now a timeshare, or and it's not out of the realm of possibilities, is Hunt now the running back 1 and Pacheco's now the backup?
And I think all those things are going to be to be determined, because I think likely what's going to happen is that like Andy Reid is not going to know. He's going to slowly get Pacheco in there. If Pacheco looking good, starts breaking off runs, because you haven't really seen
played a high hand.
Then eventually, you know, you may see him take the role. But just like I said before, like all these guys should be on your roster. And then like, you know, that first week Pacheco's back, like I'm probably still starting Kareem Hunt because it's probably going to be like them easing them in,
Right.
and that'll be, allow me to see, and then I can kind of make the decision moving forward.
Yeah.
Tell you what, Kareem Hunt looks good, man.
Yeah, it does.
He looks good. Speaking of running backs, backfield kind of muddy. I don't think it's as muddy as some people may think. But let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders for a second. It looks like Zamir White is back. Obviously, that looks like it's Madison's backfield now. What do you guys think about just the Raiders in general, but also how are you guys going to play that backfield, especially with Devontae Adams now gone? I mean, that was one receiver who could potentially prevent them from loading up boxes. How do you guys see the Las Vegas Raiders now?
Yeah, I think the beautiful thing about Alexander Madison is like they give him third down work, they give him passing down work, they give him hurry up work, and they give him also goal line work or like red zone work. So he's getting a lot of high value touches. So he's just one of those backs like, I've definitely been playing him the last few weeks, not with the idea that I'm hoping for 100+ yards, but just understanding that like they're gonna be in negative game scripts, and like he's getting, he can get like 3 to 4 check downs. He's just got enough juice to be able to kind of break one. And somehow he has a nose for the end zone. They don't really have a lot of other red zone threats. And Bowers, hasn't sort of kind of found his way into the end zone just yet. So I definitely think Alexander Madison is that guy that you can like really slot in there. That is, even if it's a tough matchup, just knowing that you can potentially get those points in the passing game, just a very helpful and useful player to have on your roster.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not excited about it at all. Like, I don't even want him on my team if I had him, like if he was on the waiver, because the Raiders offense is, low ceiling. Vegas projected totals are probably low every game for the rest of the season. For you to really get any type of production from Madison, you got to hope he gets a lot of the checkdowns, the catches, and maybe sneaks into the end zone. But the likelihood of that happening every game is low compared to other teams' more high octane offenses. With all that being said, he has looked like the main guy, but Zamir White was hurt, and Zamir White came back last week, and I was watching a little bit of Raiders, not much because I don't want to watch Raiders, but when I watched, I saw Zamir White being used. Like I saw him on the field. He wasn't the main back, but he was still getting reps, and then they still have Abdullah there, who I've seen them use, So it's like, well, what are we really doing here? We're now having a 3-headed backfield, most likely led by Madison, but a 3-headed backfield on a low volume offense. It's like, really, what are we doing here? And you might say, okay, but if they're going to lose, again, he'll have those check down opportunities. When I watch the Raiders, those check down opportunities are just going to Bowers.
Yeah.
Like it's Bowers all day long. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I heard something recently. Bowers, I think, has only scored 1 touchdown this season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So Bowers is having this crazy season off of just straight catches without actually having end zone points to add to it. If he got that, like he would go,
it's almost like
to the roof.
Deontay Johnson argument that, hey, like he has to score a touchdown at some point.
At some point,
If he can get
he's
into
going to
the
score
end
a touchdown at some point. He's too good of a talent, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just the nature of the offense. The nature of the offense is one where they're not in scoring positions a lot. The nature of the offense is one where they're constantly behind and they get a lot of garbage time.
Right.
That's kind of my, pro for.
So I say all that to say it's like, I'm at the point in my fantasy career where, man, I'm trying to accumulate talent on good teams where it's like, yeah, they might not be the number one option for their team, but they're in an ecosystem where people are scoring, like the Ravens.
Yeah.
Ravens scored like 5-6 touchdowns this last game.
Yeah.
If I just had one of those players that scored a touchdown, I'm good. I don't need all 5. I want all 5, but I don't need all of them. But just give me a piece of one of them mugs, and I'm happy. So I don't know. I'm not too excited now. If you tell me Madison gets 90% of the work and the offense starts to do a little something, I mean, Gardner Minshew's back. I don't know, man. So,
yeah, he's been putting up points, man. Even in the bad offense, even with the bad, he's been putting up points. So he's been useful.
So speaking of putting up points and needing to put up points, let's talk about the Denver Broncos, led by Bo Nix.
No, they're not. Okay, the team is led by Bo Nix, but fantasy-wise, they're led by that defense.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Patrick Surtain, to be exact.
Is there anybody to start on this offense? Like, are you guys starting?
Yes.
Who are you starting from this offense outside of that one game?
You can start Bo Nix. Look. I listen to a lot. It's like entertainment to me. I listen to a lot of fantasy across all platforms: radio, YouTube, podcast. If you got a podcast, I'm probably listening to it. And I just hear people are so like worried about like, oh, I'm going to start X player over X player, or should I consider this player? Should I consider? Yes. Consider everybody. Consider everybody. You gotta, I keep saying this, like, there are so many more fantasy players than there ever was.
Mm-hmm.
The production is spread out more than it ever was. You don't have to like confine yourself and limit yourself to starting Patrick Mahomes every single week.
Mm-hmm.
You can use your eyes and you can put 2 and 2 together. And if you see a situation where, like, yes, Nix is a rookie, May is a rookie. But if you like look at certain situations, yes, it's a little bit of a gamble, but you look at certain situations where negative game script potentially, these guys run a little bit, they call RPOs for them. Like, some of the production is just gonna happen.
Yeah.
They almost have like a safer floor than a Mahomes in certain situations. I'm not saying start him over every single week, but like getting back to your point about can you start him? You can start Bo Nix. There was a big discussion about Javonte, and if you started Javonte, you got lucky. He was a terrible start. I started Javonte everywhere. We keep going back to like the +1, +1, -1 based on start sit. I think I have a new term for this, by the way. If anybody who kind of follows basketball, you got your plus minus.
Yeah.
If you're a good plus minus player, when you're on the court, like your team is winning.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter like what you're putting up production wise. If you're on the court,
it's your personal plus minus.
It's exactly. It's your personal plus minus.
Yeah.
So there can be, you can have Javonte Williams, I can have Javonte Williams, and you can have Javonte Williams, and we all can have different outlooks.
Yeah.
Like, you could be a terrible plus minus.
Yeah.
Meaning that you started him all his bad games, and then the couple of games that he like went out, you had him on your bench.
Yeah.
You got the worst plus minus.
Yeah.
You're losing.
I probably do have the worst plus minus.
I could be like average plus minus. Like, I started him some games he stunk, but I got some games. I got this last game where he, so it bounced out. I got this last game where he did well. And then Dale could have the best plus minus, the best possible case scenario. Because remember, we were drafting Javonte a lot when you're not in non-starter territory. So he's almost kind of like a luxury player, kind of a bench, what you would call in the past a bench player. Dale could have been just smart. He could have been the first couple of weeks. He's like, let me see this. I'm not quite sure if he's back yet. Oh, he don't look good. He don't look good. He don't look good. Oh, he's going against the Saints defense. Saints have been terrible against the run. They just lost their quarterback. Denver defense has been really good. I believe in the Denver defense. I think it's going to be a positive game script for Denver. Audric Estime is still coming back. Fumbled last week. You know what? Javonte's been getting to work. I think this is the perfect time to put Javonte in my lineup. Plus, I got bye weeks. This is the time I'm going to get him in my lineup. Boom. Now you're winning, and you're beating the field for everybody that has Javonte Williams, and you got all those points.
So in that manner, the question is not – I know a lot of times – we look at the end of the season, we compare teams like, oh, this team has, in this instance, Javonte Williams or Lamar. But then it's like, but then how many times did they start Javonte correctly or sit Javonte correctly? That then separates those two teams.
That is
totally. So.
Exactly. That is the most important thing in fantasy in 2024. Not like because I'm telling you, I got one team that you look at this team like, even if you knew everything that was going on, you'd be like, how is this team 1-6, 1-7? Like you couldn't believe it. And some of it is just like, bad luck, but some of it is just like bad start to sit decisions or terrible luck start to sit decisions. So that is so important and so critical. And like, I'm always trying to perfect that. Sometimes you just shit out of luck, but
got you. So, Abby's basically in all that, he's basically saying Bo Nix is somebody he would start at the Broncos. Cause that was your question. Who would you start at the Broncos?
Potentially. One of many.
I don't have a problem with Bo Nix. I feel like he's the only startable option. My only concern is I don't know if there's a ceiling there. I feel like he has a safe floor because he runs. Like he almost prefers to run. I don't know if it's a fear thing, like he's scared to get sacked or he's just comfortable with that. But this last game, I saw him take off so much. Yeah. Maybe it was just because the way the Saints were playing defense, it was man-to-man, their backs were turned all the time. So he always saw opportunity. Yeah. But, I don't know if he really has that aerial attack in him yet. He has players he can throw to. He has a coach that's, willing. But, they might feel like they like running more. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I see Nix getting a 30-point game. Yeah. And that's usually what I'm aiming for. Who can give me 30 plus? But definitely I don't have a problem starting. The receivers, man, I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, it's crazy. Troy Franklin came out the blue. Yeah, it looked like their number one wide receiver. Yeah. When you get to see he didn't even play, he wasn't even active. Yep. Cortland Sutton had a good game 2 weeks ago, and then this last game had a goose egg. What's going on? Yep. Vele, I think week 1 had like 8 targets or 8 catches.
Yeah.
And then
my boy, don't forget my boy,
who's your boy?
Lucas Kroll.
He came out of the blue. But Pele, he was hurt, and then he came back, and then he was a healthy script. Like, I don't know what's going on there. The running back, same thing, man. So I don't know. It's a weird situation. The MVP for that team, like I said, in fantasy, is the defense. They're going crazy. And this week, they have an even better matchup than they originally had because it's Bryce Young week again. He's back in our lives to be terrorized. So that's how I see the Broncos. But
let's move on. Let's talk about the Chargers for a second. J.K. Dobbins has been a surprise, I guess, bright spot for an offense that we normally can rely on, especially considering the talent that they once had there with Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, obviously Herbert as their quarterback. How do you guys see that this offense is, I mean, like the lack of offense, and obviously they got banged up and didn't have the same receiving options as they had in previous weeks. How do you guys see this Chargers offense? I mean, J.K. Dobbins really the only startable option at this point?
No.
Who got banged up?
Quentin
Johnson would
man, he
QJ.
is not a thing, man.
So look,
he had some decent spots.
We disagree because so one, I thought Herbert actually looked pretty good. I thought he actually looked pretty good, and I think that this offense actually has some upside if they can get the guys.
Yeah, number one receiver on the team is McConkey, man.
But again,
he's the guy.
You can say he's the guy, but I still think Quentin Johnson should be rostered.
Throw him out to the fishes.
And I think Herbert, I think this team has some sneaky upside. Again, it's not, you're gonna have to be very careful on with who you start. Right now, probably JK is the only one that is in
not just JK. Will Dissly looked pretty good last week.
Yeah, but he's not in starting lineup, is what I'm saying. I'm talking about player that's likely being started by J.K. Dobbins and then occasionally Lab McConkey. I do think that there's some upside with this team. I think you need a Quentin Johnson type, and with what he's put on tape thus far, I think that's helpful for the entire offense. I think when you don't have that, everything gets sort of kind of just brought. All the box gets real tight. Lab McConkey by himself is not enough for defenses to sort of kind of back off a little bit, but a couple big shots to Quentin Johnson, and he's been capitalizing on that. I think that's enough to kind of open things up. So,
So, look, are you starting JK if you have him?
Oh yeah, JK and McConkey I'd start.
McConkey, but you're starting just out the gate.
I was starting McConkey right now. Yeah, I was starting McConkey. McConkey looks good. He's just gonna keep getting better. He's running all the routes. Yeah. He's sneaky athletic. I guess that's what we call white guys that play receiver, but he really is sneaky athletic. And the team is giving him targets. Trust him. And let's not forget was he a first round pick? I know he was top 2 round.
No, he was a second round pick, I think.
Well, man, okay. Well, I know he was a high draft pick. So obviously they've invested in the guy. So remember, there's a new coaching regime. So he's their guy.
Yeah,
exactly. It's a new coach. So that's when I'm talking about kind of this, still some potential with his offense is it's still a new scheme, It's still young players. They're still kind of learning, and they've had injuries. They've had injuries on the offensive line. They've had injuries in the receiving core. So this is one of those offense. I'm not gonna be surprised if a couple weeks from now, they're putting up 25, 30 points a game, and people are where's this offense coming from? This and that. This is how these things happen. Teams get healthy. Teams get more acclimated to the offensive scheme. They get a little bit more kind of comfortable with it, and then the offense opens up.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the NFC West for a bit. I want to talk about the Arizona Cardinals and this up and down nature with Kyler Murray. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. It's up and down as well. I mean, Michael Wilson had a single game, but then he gave you a goose egg. The only bright spot seems to be Connor. I mean, how do you guys feel about starting some of these Arizona Cardinals?
But Trey McBride is locked in. We literally say this every year. I feel Kyler Murray is not a good quarterback. Okay, he's not. No, he's not a good
Is he just too small?
I don't know that he's too small. I just don't. He doesn't process the information very well. He doesn't read defenses very well. He relies so much on his athleticism. So he's a good quarterback because of all of his attributes. His arm talent.
He's a good player. He's not a good quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. His arm talent, and he can be accurate when he sees it. But as far as just sort of kind of reading the defense, there's too many times, not just Marvin Harrison, but other players are just running wide open and he's just missing the read. He is holding them back. he is holding that offense back.
Oh,
You
wow.
know?
That's
Like,
a hot take.
It's not a hot take. It's significant. Like, I don't think I'm the only one with that take. He's holding that offense back. How many times, like, literally every single week, somebody sends out a clip like Marvin Harrison wide ass open 30 minutes. You know, and
I don't know if I want to
so,
blame Kyler, man. I want to blame the offensive coordinator. I don't like. I don't watch that team and feel like they're putting their players in the best position. Yeah, Kyler has his limitations, but we've also seen Kyler be successful in the league, which lets me know that there is a system that will work well for him. Whatever that is, I don't know. But even Marvin Harrison, like, forget Kyler for a second. Just when I look at Marvin Harrison, him running his routes, he doesn't look unique, special, like out there. He just looks like a player.
Yeah.
Like, and if I didn't know it was Marvin Harrison, like if I was just squinting my eyes or it was a little blurry and I didn't see 18 or know who he was, I would just think he's like Michael Wilson, like he's not separating himself from the rest of the pack.
Right.
And that's my problem. He doesn't look fast, which bothers me because I'm mad. Like I should have known, and you mentioned this last show that him not running that 40 should have been a red flag. Like I should have known something was off there, but he's not great. I'm not seeing great separation, and I'm not seeing these crazy catches, which if anything, if he's gonna have a D-Hop type, skill set, then at least make the D-Hop type catches, and I'm not even seeing that.
But you going back to like your point about the offensive coordinator, like, a lot of people have like, who is it? I want to say it was the Underdog guys who like made it at a really good point about that he is running like just very, very difficult routes. Like he is just running the X, running out of the X.
That's the offensive coordinator then.
Yeah. So and they're not setting them up at all. There's no pre-snap motion. They're not moving around the offensive.
They're not giving him easy targets.
Yeah, they're having him play the most hardest, role on offense with a quarterback that does not like throw with anticipation.
Right.
It does not read defenses. So
again, that's why I said off the court, like they're not giving them like screens, or if they are, like they're not setting it up properly.
He just doesn't seem like that kind of receiver who would actually like,
man,
kind of like Neighbors, for instance, right? Like,
but Neighbors, they move around. Neighbors,
Yeah, but he looks.
Everybody, look at God. Remember Chris Godwin? Remember Chris Godwin last year? Be like, he was like, people didn't even want to start Chris Godwin last year, and they really didn't want to draft him this year. And everyone we kept talking about, he's going back to the slot. Like that cures all. Why Cooper Kupp is amazing because he gets to operate. Yeah, he's a good receiver, but he gets to operate out of the slot.
Yeah, but with Chris Godwin, also we know he makes the tough catches. In the middle of the field. Yeah. And he can get away from people when given the opportunity. I don't know if Marvin Harrison can really get away from people. Yeah. Like, I don't know if he can catch the ball and just really take off and just burn everybody.
I've seen him open. I don't know.
He's been open, I guess, but the defense is probably like he ain't throwing the ball anyway. So like
wind sprints.
Exactly. So I don't know, man, because even Neighbor, they're manufacturing touches, but even when he's running a regular route, he just looks explosive. Yeah. He looks, if he catches the ball, like he can make a move and look like he can get away from people, man. That Marvin Harris thing is honestly frustrating because I feel like we were lied to.
But kind of Mr. Old Steady, I will say,
for sure.
From a fantasy standpoint, people, this is the time of year I feel like, especially when the buys start coming around again, people just kind of get, I don't want to call it lazy, but get, comfortable with the team and like, I can drop this player. Let me go after Troy Franklin and I'll drop Trey Benson. Man,
yeah, be careful with that.
Yeah, scoop those guys up. Like all those guys, like everyone was high on at the beginning of the year that just like have done absolutely nothing. Really search the waivers for those guys. You got to make sure you sort or like actively look out.
Come on, man, let them do the work. They can figure that out. I will say this one thing because you brought it up. Trey McBride. I know y'all said he's having a good season, but for where he was drafted,
it's just
I wouldn't be that excited about it.
I mean, like he's tight end 3.
Yeah,
so,
but
it's
for where he was drafted, like who the other who's tight end 1 and 2?
Tight end 1 would have to be Bowers.
Man, he put up double-digit points.
He was going super late. Yeah. I mean, not super late, but he was like 7th, 8th round pick, and then Ferguson was going later too.
Yeah.
Kittle was going after him for sure. Like
Kittle has to be 2, right?
There's so many tight ends that were going. I mean, McBride was like top 2 or 3 tight end. Yeah, going in the second round.
Often like the first tight end off the board.
Yeah, going in the second round latest. Like I never saw him in the third. Yeah. So if you got, I mean, I don't know if you'd be too excited about that.
Yeah. No. Let's go to. Yeah, I mean, like he's
I'm just saying compared to some of the other second round.
Yeah, he's like, still.
It's all relative.
That's true.
Let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams for a second. Obviously, the news that came out today is that Cooper Kupp is going to be ready to play Thursday. What do you guys expect out of Cooper Kupp? What do you guys
No,
expect?
man.
out of
more
that
news.
No,
Puka is questionable too.
Yeah, Puka's questionable.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Cup is on the trade block. This is like, to me, this was like the hardest part about waivers for me, is because in the past, like when there were trade rumors, you'd be like, what are the odds? I'll take my chances. Now, when there's trade rumors, like, oh, I gotta listen.
You think he's gonna be trading?
I think so, though. Like, because everyone, it's like been reputable reporters, and there's been people close to the team, Jordan Rodriguez, also reporting it. So I think it's definitely plausible. I think they're floating him out there. I think, to me, like, the Rams probably see the writing on the wall, and they want to rebuild.
I don't think he's gonna be traded.
Me
I think this is what I think really happened. I think because the rumor came out yesterday, Kupp being traded.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were in negotiations with the Chiefs.
Yep.
And I think they were like, hey, everybody get ready. We might make this deal. We'll put it out there. Maybe even like, pushing the Chiefs a little bit, like, hey, we'll put it, putting a bat signal out. Yeah. And then the Chiefs were like, nah, we're not going to give you that compensation. Let's just go get the other guy.
Yeah.
So now it's like, because now today, what did you hear? You're not hearing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm hearing stuff.
You're hearing the same stories from yesterday, but you're not hearing, like yesterday was almost like a media blast.
Yeah.
As far as, hey, everybody, Kupp is on the block. We're hearing this. They were saying we're calling teams and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. With that being the case, do you think is in the market for a receiver?
But that's the thing. Like, I don't know who
they've been bringing up Pittsburgh, the Steelers. I've seen them names thrown out there. Who else have I seen? I would have to think, but
I don't really think. I mean, Pittsburgh has been in the market since the summer, right? So they're always been in the news.
They wanted Ayuk.
But remember,
right
but like, who feels like they're in the hunt?
Pittsburgh.
And should take
that is a good team.
But I know, but who else?
But the trade we really heard about that was linking the Steelers, we really were hearing was Mike Williams.
Right.
We weren't hearing Kupp to Steelers. We were actually hearing Mike Williams to Steelers.
Yeah. So if you're the Steelers and you have your choice, not just between Kupp and Mike Williams, well, obviously, just the player themselves, you're probably choosing Kupp, but also like you have George Pickens. Why are you want to be redundant with Mike Williams?
I mean, I'm not here to make logical reasoning as far as what these teams do, right? Like I was out that game a long time ago. Yeah. Now it's all about what I'm seeing and hearing. Yeah. And we heard Mike Williams a lot. We actually heard that Mike, because they played against each other this last week. Mm-hmm. We heard that Mike Williams might be auditioning for his team. Yeah.
But the reason I say it's interesting is because from a waiver standpoint, I'm someone who definitely had like a lot of Tutu Atwell. He's just been kind of that steady Eddie guy, like, man, I need somebody to start. I just need points. Mm-hmm. Throwing Tutu in there. So that's been great. And I've also, held on to a couple of Jordan Whittingham, right? Whittington. Yeah, I've held on to a couple of shares of him too as well. So it's almost like, for me, I'm just like, I'm trying to anticipate, okay, if someone gets traded, who becomes value, or is there value on this offense to be had? So I didn't, for me, like I held on to all my Tutu Atwell shares for now. And especially anytime somebody's like coming off a lower extremity injury, I will almost always hold those other guys for another couple of weeks just due to like the high risk of re-injury.
Yeah, I got you.
So I don't know. We'll see.
I just think, man, maybe I'm just being naive about the whole thing, but I think when trades happen in the league, they usually kind of come out the blue, right? It's not like we're
in the past, yeah.
But even recently, like
Devontae Adams.
That was easy.
Ayuk was going to be traded, but
he wasn't traded. Let's talk about the trade that happened.
But the trade was on the table, but then he went to the 49ers and said,
no, so regardless, it didn't happen. But let's talk about the trade that did happen. Nobody heard Cooper to the Bills. Like nobody, like people probably
we heard that.
No, they didn't hear.
We heard Cooper was on the trade block,
but we didn't hear. I know, but we didn't hear Cooper to the Bills. That's what I'm saying. We didn't hear D-Hop to the Chiefs. We didn't hear who's the other guy that got traded? Oh, Devontae. Yeah, we heard about that. What I'm saying is these trades that I see matriculate. We didn't hear Diggs to the Texans. Like the trades that happened, I feel like just out the blue. We're not getting these smoke screens early that this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now we know players are on the block, and I'm not saying Kupp won't get traded, but again, I just think the way it timed out was just so odd. Yeah. We went from not hearing. Before yesterday, we didn't hear anything about Kupp being traded. No. So all of a sudden, all day long, we have like 5 media outlets saying it. Yeah. And then the next morning, one of the teams that was linked to Kupp makes a big trade.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. So, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. So let's also talk about the San Francisco 49ers. Listen, they've been ravaged with injuries. Obviously,
So is my fantasy team, bro. I don't
right,
feel bad.
I got you. I
But
got
we
you.
all struggling out here.
CMC obviously is still out.
Facts.
Ayuk is out for the season. Debo has pneumonia. I mean, like, how are you guys sort of seeing Pearsall finally being able to be on this team and to be able to contribute? I saw him on a lot of waiver wires. Too,
Yeah,
so.
luckily, I don't know why.
Not
I
in
think
my
I just had some like random like spots, and I was like, let me just pick them up. Just
I was
in case.
picking him up everywhere I could.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
pick them up just in case.
Good, yeah.
But but even still, like he wasn't one of those guys that I was just like, okay, I need to get like a lot of, I need to like overbid it. I don't know. I think there are, yes, he has some outs, but I don't think Debo's really going to be gone that long. And then you got the bye week coming. So this week coming up is really going to be a, guesswork, a hope and pray as far as, because you don't know. We really don't know. We know he ran a lot of routes, but we don't know truly what position he's playing.
Right.
Also,
But I
one
think-
Jennings was.
I think it feels like a jack of all trades, master of none. Like, so we don't really know what he is running. We don't know what the game plan is going to be, but Debo could be back. Jennings could be back. Kittle is obviously there. So I don't know. I just feel like you don't know if he's going to be the third or fourth option this week.
So Jennings didn't play last week.
right.
He had a hip injury. He didn't practice today, which means he's still dealing with the injury. He might come back this week, but honestly, I haven't read anything that's saying Jennings will be back. I have seen something that said Debo might be back. And Debo didn't practice today either. Kittle didn't even practice today either. So, and I'm not saying those guys are going to be out.
Yeah.
What I'm really saying is, like, number one, he's getting the reps. He's the healthiest receiver on the team right now. The biggest thing is he has that mystery box to him. He was a first round rookie receiver.
Yeah.
So the team values him with all those other. Remember, they signed Jennings before the draft. So they had all their aerial attacks there, and they still feel like, let's utilize our first round capital on this guy. During the training camp, you heard buzz as far as how great he is with his route running and how he's already building rapport. For me, it was just one of those things. And again, I picked him up last week before the injuries. It was just one of those things where, he's coming back. At this point in the season, it's really hard to get major value bumps from a waiver wire pick if it's not a major injury. So it's like, why not? And now with IU gone, the way I look at it is, I mean, Jennings, I haven't really watched Jennings a lot to know how great of a route runner he is. I feel like every time I see Jennings, he's more like a deep threat, like a downfield option. But if I was to then say, okay, who takes the IU role? To me, it'd be Pearsall. Like he is the perfect replacement, in my opinion.
Yeah. And look, I'm definitely not saying don't pick him up. I'm not saying don't dedicate some fab. What I'm saying is I'm not breaking the bank from him, as with the idea that, he's just walking into this amazing role. Because let's say he takes 100% of the IU role. What was that worth this year?
I mean, IU comes having a bad season.
But what I'm saying is, like, is he 100% of IU?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. You're right. It's to be determined. But again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier as far as the Raiders.
And
like,
then
I want to.
And then C-Mac comes back. I mean, C-Mac may open things up for everybody else.
Right. But what I was saying earlier is, like, I want to have players on good ecosystem.
Oh yeah. No, I think
the 49ers to me is a good ecosystem where we can see them put a lot of points any week. So again, with the fact he was cheap now this week, and again, I didn't have a lot of leagues where he was available to me for waivers, so I'm really not sure how much I would have bid. I think I maybe would have bid a fair amount just because of the other options on the table, and again, knowing that there's a chance he can have a big role. But I don't know. But I'm excited to see what he can become. That was his first game back from being shot, and he had he was running a lot of routes. He got some targets. Like, for the team to out the gate to give you that type of opportunity, I think that's a positive in his case. So, right. And I mean, you're right. They didn't have any choice. You're right. But and then, like I said, he's the only receiver. He's like, if you go to 49ers practice today, he's number one in the wide receiver line. Like, he's running the routes first. The guy that wasn't even there 2 weeks ago. So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Seattle Seahawks is the last team on this NFC West division. DK Metcalf has the MCL sprain, hasn't practiced Monday or Tuesday. Not sure if he practiced today. Obviously, this team
did that.
All right. Obviously, this offense runs through DK. I mean, like, he's their number one scoring option.
No, he's not.
Who's the number one? Well, I guess
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth
Don't
Walker
disrespect the
guy. Yeah. Although, I mean, I guess it could be Charbonnet if they gave him the touches, but it's all right.
Nah,
What?
nah.
Him and Charbonnet are interchangeable. to
They
me.
are not.
Kenneth
They
Walker
are not. It's not even
increasing
close.
my respect level.
It's not
Yeah,
even
like
close.
3 notches.
Like you watch Charbonnet, you're like, eh.
Yeah.
I was saying this last year, but
I mean, you're a running back, I guess. You know,
Yeah,
you got the ball in
exactly.
your hand.
And then you watch Kenneth Walker, you're like,
Yeah.
see it.
That dude's special.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's special.
Wish I
But,
had one.
but let's talk about this offense. DK, if he doesn't play this week, who are you guys seeing in that offense who can pick up the slack
As far as receiver,
as far as receivers?
I think it'd be Lockett.
Yeah, Lockett, some JSN, and then Fant. Fant's really been coming on. No
Fan
offense.
is actually, yeah.
Not being waived.
Jason, I can't trust him yet. Like I've wanted to trust him, but he's just not doing it. Like he's not
Never.
taking advantage.
Never understood the JSN love. The same way you feel about like Marvin Harrison. I like watch JSN. I'm like, and I would hear all these things about like, oh, he thinks he's the best wide receiver. I'm just like, man, he looks good, but he's not.
He doesn't have that getaway speed that I like to see out of my receivers. Like
Mhm.
the cop chasing you. Like the cops chasing you, can you get away from him? That's
Yeah.
literally what I think about.
He has hands.
He has hands, yeah.
His hands,
But then
like
at the
a
same
technician.
time, he's not big, he's not imposing,
Yeah.
he's not gonna run nobody over, he's not gonna break a lot of tackles.
He's
He's
another
very
Lockett.
savvy in the route, huh?
He's another Lockett.
No, Lockett's different, man. Lockett has speed. Lockett like can get downfield. Like Lockett in his prime was like sick. Like I've never seen that type of explosiveness.
I can
from
see the
JSN.
comparison, but I definitely would prefer Lockett right now. And Lockett has Geno's trust. It looks like maybe Geno trusts Jason as well, but I've seen Geno just
Yeah.
pepper Lockett for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And Lockett comes through for him. So
I think you see a lot more Kenneth Walker in the passing game. We've
don't
already
sleep
seen a
on
lot.
Fan either. Fan is having a good season.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
He's having a
Fant,
good
like
season.
I think Fant takes more of the work than they just kind of go into just the receivers. And then Jake Bobo, we'll see. Jake Bobo is definitely scoring a touchdown this week.
All right.
I've done no research on this week whatsoever.
but-
I just know that Jake Bobo is.
Is he the only? I know they got
Lavisca
LaVisca Chenault. Is he the only other option there? I know they got LaVisca Chenault. Is there any other receivers?
I don't know.
Is the next man up, but I don't know.
I
Who
think he
else
just
is
likes
on
saying
the
his name.
Right.
No, I mean he's like
Let's move to the AFC South. Our beloved Texans. Obviously, we've been banged up a little bit. Nico is on IR.
Everybody banged up, man. No
Everybody's
excuses.
defense,
Excuses
offense.
are tools.
Defense, yeah. Obviously, Tank gave us a goose egg last week, which really hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think about our offense? And obviously, Joe Mixon, I mean, has turned back the dials a bit. But
Yeah.
what do you guys think about our offense, and who can you really trust in that receiver room?
It looks like teams have like figured us out. Looks like they got tape. Looks like, okay, they do this. They don't do this that well.
Mhm.
And then once they take away that, we have like really not had a counter. We have like really not had an answer for that. Dale's not necessarily the hugest fan of the offensive coordinator. This, young guy kind of like going through his like growing pains, but it's kind
Bro,
of
they were
hard.
interviewing this dude for head coaching jobs last year. Like he was gonna be a head coach of a football team right now off of what he did last year. And it
Yeah.
was all bogus.
I don't know
wouldn't
about
say it's
bogus.
bogus.
I wouldn't go
It
that
was
far.
bogus. He's a
Yeah.
phony.
Man, it really
Like that sister of himself.
I was,
Phony.
I was trying not to send you down that
Come
path.
on, man.
but no, this is a team that like I don't maybe it's a homerism. I mean, I'm worried just because when you see sort of kind of this downward trajectory, and even the things that are kind of going right, like you look at the Mixon, like it's like a long run, and it's like the offense just like doesn't seem right. We're not moving the ball. We're not like moving the chains like we're constantly and like long down in distance. It's frustrating. It's tough to watch. It doesn't feel like that kind of high-powered offense. Now, obviously, Nico is out of the offense.
Mhm.
So I think Nico will help to like kind of open things up for everyone else. But it's just disappointing because I wanted to see like Dale really take that next step forward. And we
Yeah.
just have not seen that. And you heard like everybody, including myself, like, okay, yeah, buy low and Tank Dale are like he just it's gonna come, and it has not come.
I
Yeah.
think, man, honestly, man, I'm watching the Texans. That's the
Yeah.
main game I'm watching. I think it all boils down to two things. the trash OC we have in Bobby Slowick doing better in his play calling because he's calling runs on the first down or getting nowhere. It's like a waste of a play.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. Like, and he's not being creative. Like, he's comes from this 49ers tree, but I'm not seeing 49er elements.
Yeah.
Like, I see an offense. They got plays, but I'm not seeing anything like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Like, okay, y'all worked on that. That kind of throws, surprise people. So whatever. Anyway, let me not get in my Bobby Slowick soapbox. The main thing I'm saying though is the fact that the offensive line is just playing so poorly.
Yeah,
they're the worst graded offensive line out of every team in the league this year. And if your offensive line is not giving,
they're terrible.
Yes, and if the offensive line is not giving you time, what can you really expect the receivers to do? I mean, Stroud is not really getting his 3-step drops comfortably. Like a comfortable 3-step drop, scan the field and throw it to the open guy.
He got one step.
Yeah, he got one. And then he's running. He's like he's stepping into the pocket, going to the left, going to the right. Yeah. And honestly, it's been that case all season. But what was masking it in the beginning parts of the season was Nico Collins being this type of player that could produce in the scrambling drill.
Yeah.
Like if you watch all those Nico Collins highlights, you'll see him catching these crazy patches on the sideline, or you'll see CJ running and then all of a sudden he throws it deep and then it just happens to get in Nico's hand. But it's not comfortable throws to Nico.
Yeah.
And with Nico out the picture, now that's being super duper exposed. It's even affect Diggs. Diggs is not a big guy, he's not a tall receiver. So Diggs needs that timing. And again,
you know who we miss? Noah Brown.
The day we cut him, I was on Twitter so hard. Like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah,
why are you cutting Noah Brown? He was talented. Like, he had the rapport. He had they weren't 200-yard games. He had 2 100-yard games last year back to back. Yeah. Like, what are we doing? And the reason we cut him apparently because he was hurt at the time. He was healthy like 2 weeks later, and the Commanders picked him up. Now he's a wide receiver 2 for the Commanders, and we gave him up for nothing. Like, think of what he could have done with this type of. He was at that point the 4th best receiver on the offense. So now that we lost Nico, who's taking his place? Xavier Hutchinson. Man, mushroom time. Anyway, so back to my Texans. Like, until that offensive line gets fixed, which will allow Stroud to really be comfortable back there and really be able to scan the field and go through his progressions, that team is going to suffer on offense. And I don't think it's a Tank issue.
Yeah.
Tank is not. Again, go back to Bobby Slowick. Tank is not running deep routes this season for whatever reason.
Nope.
He's getting all these running plays, which is weird because he got hurt last year. Muddying it up in the middle of the offense, but he's getting like reverses and stuff, and he's getting these short routes.
Yeah.
Tank, this last game, he actually had 2 targets in the end zone. I think one of them was a penalty, the other one he just dropped, but that could have made his day look a lot better.
What do you think Mixon will continue doing what Mixon's been doing, or do you think this is like full go?
Man, I hope a scout from our opponents are not watching our podcast. But if I was a defense, I would load up the box, stop the run, and just like go after Stroud every play. Like let my front 7 deal with it because again, CJ's not able to throw the ball, and if you just stop the run, what else do we have?
Yeah,
we have nothing.
Yeah,
we got a kicker.
Yeah,
and we just get a couple yards and kick the ball.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. Listen, Anthony.
By the way, and the Texans defense are a bunch of phonies as well. Texans a whole bunch of phonies.
Man.
Texans a whole bunch of phonies, man. Don't fall for it.
Well, I think Anthony Richardson is a phony. By the way, that's why I sent you Anthony Richardson. I think that offense is, to be honest, he gives me Deshaun Watson vibes. No,
which Deshaun Watson? The current one or
the current Deshaun Watson vibes? Like, you can plug in someone else in that offense, and then it looks like passable. But the moment you put him back there, it just all collapses. And for fantasy, like, none of the options around him can seem to produce.
He's depressed everybody. He's depressed everybody.
I mean, he had some plays called back. He had some balls dropped. I mean, like his day could have looked a lot better last week. I'm not 100% off of him. I think DeForest Buckner's back, right?
He had his window open today. Same as JT.
Yeah. So I think that the Colts could look a lot better. I think when you put it all on Anthony Richardson, I think you're asking for things to kind of like you're asking for a lot and things could go real.
I mean, they drafted him 4 overall. They kind of want to put it all on. I mean, at some point,
But
you got to see what you got.
You
Right.
say that, but like if you look at a lot of quarterbacks who don't have that support, who don't have the run game, they don't look good early on. So, but what I'm saying is, with JT coming back, things could look a lot different because now defenses really have to respect the run game. You're gonna have to respect that RPO. So now that RPO with Pittman or with Downs looks a lot easier. Before, nobody's respecting Trey Sermon. Nobody's respecting any
Because
of
Trey
these
Sermon
running backs.
sucks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tyler Goodson's guy.
But
Yeah.
it's still, no teams aren't like
Yeah,
respecting.
they never
respecting the way they.
His name is
respect
Tyler
JT.
Goodson. Like, who you gonna
I just
say
feel like
Tyler Goodson?
JT is a key asset to this team, and when he comes back, I think.
So you think JT is gonna unlock A. Rich's potential?
Absolutely.
I disagree with that.
Absolutely.
I think A.
Yeah.
Rich is.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's happening.
Because remember,
Yeah.
they run a lot of RPO. For you to run RPO, teams have to respect that you actually are going to run the ball, or they actually have to respect the running back. If that linebacker doesn't come down, or the secondary isn't picking in the backfield, or if the cornerback is not concerned that they may like Anthony Richardson, they're not letting up. Right now, they're like basically ignoring the running back in that offense. With JT coming in, you have to now pay
But the
attention.
problem I think with A. Rich is he has accuracy issues. Like
He does.
I don't
I don't think he's gonna
I
do-
think even if he has his players open, routes running, everybody's fine. Because think about it. What you're saying right now, those are the same issues they had when Flacco was the quarterback.
Exactly.
Like
But Flacco's a different
matter of
quarterback.
fact, with Flacco there, the running threat was even weakened, like
Yeah.
lessened.
But they're
And
not running-
Flacco was still able to make
Because you
Pittman look
didn't need a
good,
spot.
Downs
You
look
didn't need a
good.
spot.
No, you're not running. You're not
Flacco.
running the same offense.
But what I'm saying is the offensive options available to them, like the receivers, they were still able to get open. They were still able to get targets. They were still able to be productive in the air attack.
Yeah.
With Anthony Richardson, you would hope it's the same offense. Now, if you're saying the running game is not working, I don't know what Steichen
No,
is doing, but at the end of the day, and I said this from the very first game of the season when they played the Texans, that's when I jumped ship immediately because he completed 9
Yeah.
completions.
Mhm.
Now he threw 2 deep balls to
Yeah.
Alec Pierce that
Yeah.
looked great, made his numbers look good. But besides that, he was missing wide open players
Yeah.
everywhere.
What I'm saying is that he will look better with Jonathan Taylor. Not that he's a good quarterback.
He had Jonathan
Not
Taylor
that
week
this-
1 too, by the way.
Not that he's going to look like Flacco. What I'm saying is he will look better than what he has. So
I got
think,
you.
Like I see a lot of he's getting dropped. I'm just saying I'd be cautious with that.
I don't know if I'll drop him yet
Yeah.
because I mean, when the drop discussion is always so
Yeah.
kind of relative because who you dropping him for, right? It's not like there's a lot
Are
of
you
quarterbacks
dropping
that's
Josh
going
Downs?
crazy. Hell no.
No.
Are
What?
you dropping? So if
No, I'm
everyone
not
that
dropping him because I'm praying that Flacco gets
Flacco
hurt.
gets
again.
hurt.
Let's go
One
Flacco.
injury away.
Exactly. One injury away. One injury, sure.
you need a starting quarterback to go.
Yeah.
That's 2024, man.
Man, let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Is Brian Thomas a league winner?
Yes.
I don't know
I
if
mean,
he's
he's
league
part
winning.
he's part of the league.
He can be
winning.
on the league winning team, but I
Yeah.
don't
I mean,
know.
considering where
I
you
think-
got him, like
Like he's one of like the better value picks.
yeah.
I feel like he's kind of
Yeah.
overrated, man. I mean,
Really?
he's cool. He's fast.
I do not think he's overrated. I think he is legit.
I don't think he makes
Yeah.
good contested catches.
Oh man, I think he's legit. What?
Yeah.
I don't think he makes good
Oh, man.
contested catches.
Okay. yeah,
I
we
mean,
watched different-
he'll
we watched
run good
different
deep
films.
routes and catch like a deep ball, but I haven't really seen him. I mean, I don't know. I got to see more. I'm still very skeptical. I haven't really seen him do a full
Yeah.
route tree. I think
What?
I haven't seen it.
I don't.
I think his
know.
benefit is his speed. Like they almost
They
use him
use-
the way Mike Wallace used to be used for the Steelers.
They use him a lot of different ways, man. They're not just using him down
I
the field.
don't-
They're throwing him bubble screens. They're getting him end arounds. He's running. He's like. There are times where he looks like a possession receiver. I'm telling you, he has
I
a full
don't. I mean,
complement.
I don't see it. I don't see it. Like I said, I think his special trait is his speed, and they use that speed. I mean, more props to them for knowing how to use it properly. But I mean, I don't know. Like he does a lot of crossing routes, speed, deep route speed,
I'll put
things
it-
like that. He's caught a ball and took it to the house speed. So I mean, he's good and fantasy wise is great, but he's not like to me, he's not anywhere in those top 5 receivers. Those are like special receivers. Like he don't look like Jamar Chase to me. He don't look like
No,
CD.
how many people look like Jamar Chase, man?
Well, I mean,
Oh,
Jamar Chase looked like Jamar Chase went to the same school, first round pick, was a top guy.
Chase, but I'm saying he looks like a number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, he is number 1. I mean,
Yeah, he's number. that's what I'm
Deontay
saying.
Johnson's a number 1 wide receiver.
No, he's above Deontay. He looks better than Deontay.
Okay, I'm just saying. When you say number 1 wide receiver, I mean, what does that really say?
Deontay's not number 1. I'm talking. So when
Who's
I
the
put it in
number 1
terms-
wide receiver?
So I'll put it in
You
terms.
talking
like
about top 12?
Yeah, top 12. Yeah.
You think? I mean, I'd have to go through
I
it.
definitely think he's top 12. 2025, this guy will be going in the second, third round.
And I'll be passing
Easily, and I will be taking him 100%.
I'll be passing it so quick on him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it seems like he's ascending now, and he's receiver 8 right now in the season. And it seems like he's ascending.
I don't even know if I really think he's a sin. Like, did you watch? Obviously, his last game he scored a touchdown. But did you see the game prior to that?
Right.
The London game.
they struggled a bit.
You see the London game?
And he was doing this against Christian Gonzalez. I mean, he looks good, man.
No, see, did you see the London game, the first London game, where he had a dud? I think he had like 3 points.
Yeah, I saw the first.
I mean, that I feel like that is an outcome I could see him happening other times. Like it didn't seem like it was like a outlier game. It seemed like that's kind of a game I could see him having.
But let's go. I mean,
that is an outlier game, though.
I mean, it is an outlier game because
it's an outlier game.
yeah.
But what I'm saying, I'm talking about the eye test. I'm not talking about his numbers. I mean, it's still early in the season. I'm talking about the eye test. I don't see him as this special
receiver. What sells me.
Yeah, we agree to disagree on that one.
I mean, I'm not gonna tell y'all to draft. It's just I'm not. If he's going to second round next year, I'm passing on him. The same like Olave. I passed on Olave this year.
Yeah, I know. I should have.
I mean, he's kind of Olave.
But Olave didn't look like that to me. Olave, I'm selling myself on like, oh, new offense.
Olave had a good season, man. Olave had a good season.
Thomas, the eye test is what's selling me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see. I mean, again, I view things differently.
Also, is Tank their starting running back now? Is Tank Bigsby their starting
No.
running back?
I think it is.
He's not because they're not trusting him in the passing game yet.
At all.
And that's a problem because they're going to likely be in a lot of negative game scripts this season. They're not. I mean, of course,
they're not.
They can change the tide on their team, and maybe they can start playing better. Maybe that changes. But from the way they look like they're probably going to be in a lot of negative game scripts this season, and they don't trust Bigsby at all in the passing game. So if they don't trust him at all, like you can't.
They threw him a screen, and it was a screen that was going to go, for a good minute.
He dropped it.
He dropped it. I mean, it wasn't just like a drop. It was like one of those ugly drops. It was like
last year. I mean, Dearness Johnson
looks good.
Played a lot last game, like a lot.
He looked good.
And they trusted him.
You
and so it's
like all-season discussion, like we were like before the preseason game, we were like, you were like really on Bigsby, and I was like, man, Dearness still there. Dearness still there. And this is what I was referring to. Like, he looks good, and they use him in a variety of different ways.
Yeah.
Now, Bigsby fell into the end zone twice, so that helped us out. But, I've definitely been holding on to some Dearness shares for now. Because, very negative game scripts.
It's just the question was: is Bigsby the starting running back? Like, I think Bigsby's going to be used every game. Like, I think he's going to be useful. I think he's played roster. Not roster, but startable.
Yeah.
If I have him on my team, I'd probably play him every game. Etienne is out.
Yeah.
But
sure.
Like unless I feel like they're gonna really be in a negative game script and they're going up against a pass.
Like if I see them going against the Ravens, I'd probably be like, nah.
Yeah.
Or the Lions, just a team with a really good run defense where you're viewing them in a negative.
The Lions have a good run defense.
The Lions kind of took a step back.
I feel like the Lions let everybody score on. I feel like the Lions is getting shootouts. Like the Lions
their run defense is pretty good. Their run defense is pretty good.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Tennessee Titans for a second. Listen, obviously, we talked about D-Hop leaving. They still have Ridley there. Tony Pollard they're starting running back with Ty being hurt, so there's no split.
Ty's back this week, by the way.
Is he back?
Yeah.
Well, even when he was out, I mean, like even when he during the beginning of the season, it was still Pollard's.
Oh, it was definitely Pollard was the guy, but Spears is not gone.
Right. But do we think that Pollard is going to be more of a focal point in this offense with D-Hop going now, with him being
nothing is changing. Nothing has changed. Nothing is changing with his offense until you see it with your own eyes. Do not just randomly say, you know what, this is a week. You better have some credible evidence that some major change, they have a new play caller, or this lineman that we never heard of is coming out of nowhere, and this is the guy. It's got to be really something some big shakeup, because this offense looks exactly the same every single. I don't even know how Tony Pollard is putting up these numbers.
Yeah,
it's every time I put him in my lineup, I'm like, oh man, he could legit go 15 for 30 because of how bad this offense looks. And you would think they would use their running backs a little bit more in the passing game, but it's almost that's not even an option too as well. I feel like they should be used a little bit more given how poor these receiving weapons are, or how bad the offensive line play has been. And that was one, like, there was so many things going to the offseason as far as like Calhoun, the new offensive coordinator, and the new offensive system, and then bringing in all the way, like all these like positives about like, okay, this could really be a surprise offense, you know, going, and it's just like none of it's worked.
I mean, it goes back to the same thing I was saying with the Raiders again, and kind of the Broncos. The ecosystem is just horrible. Like, I don't want any of it. If I have Pollard, then okay, cool. I'll definitely start him, especially if necessary. But other than that,
you dropping Ridley?
Who?
Calvin.
Oh, Ridley?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to drop him because I always fear, I drop a guy and then he'll go to another team, and that's when he starts to go off.
Yeah.
I dropped Ridley and was able to pick him back up.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Because you never know, right?
Come on.
You never know. Like, things can change.
Yeah,
like Evan was just saying, a new play caller,
Yeah.
a quarterback randomly traded to them, or somebody that just something out the blue happens. Something maybe just clicks, So there's always a chance something can happen. But right now, I'm not interested in adding anybody, playing anybody from that team. I'll let it play out, man. And, again, I'll pass on that.
Man, they really went into the season with those two quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, they did.
Like what?
That's a major like Chris, you asked the question as far as anybody startable for the Broncos. This is more of a question for the Titans, because at least the Broncos, the quarterback is giving you those rushing yards.
This might be the worst offensive team. We'll go through some more, but right now this is like the bottom.
Worse than the Raiders.
Oh, yeah, a lot worse than the Raiders. You can start playing. You can start Bowers on the Raiders. You can start Madison on the Raiders.
That's true.
You can start when Jacoby Myers comes back. You can start Jacoby Myers on the
Raiders.
Raiders.
You're right. It might be the worst. It might be the worst.
Yeah.
It might be the worst.
They're taking the cake right now. We'll see.
All right, so rapid fire because we're getting behind time. All right, Atlanta Falcons. Although I feel like we can talk about Atlanta Falcons just in an episode of itself. Bijan obviously isn't giving us the season that we thought.
He's been coming on recently.
He's serviceable, but he's not the CMC. He's not the CMC of the South.
Yeah, he's not the CMC of the South.
I gotta stop listening to these coaches, what they be saying, man. Coaches lie. Let me not say they lie. I just think they over exaggerate or they overestimate what they're gonna be or what they're gonna do, and we just eat it all up, right?
I mean, I don't necessarily know. He gets a lot of targets and he gets a lot of targets. He gets a lot of carries. Like, they're running a lot of plays, so he's not going to get 100% of the carries. Now, I was never kind of thinking that. Even CMC, if you go back and look at CMC snap percentage, like he's actually not running. It's not like he's out there like 90% of the time or even 80% of the time. What I wanted was like seeing him in a passing game and then seeing him get in the red zone. And the last few weeks, that's what we're seeing.
Maybe, but Algier still playing a lot. Algier's playing so much where Algier could have been started in certain weeks this season and you would have been okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think we would have been able to say that any other running backs on the 49ers in the CMAC years. So I don't think he's been CMAC of the South.
Yeah.
He's been solid, especially these last few weeks. And I wouldn't have a problem with him on my team. Yeah. But if you expected #1 fantasy output, then you definitely probably disappointed.
Still some time left though.
He's
running back 6. Let's talk about the Carolina Panthers. I think Chuba Hubbard might be.
Wait. Atlanta, Kyle Pitts. Is it real? No. Okay.
Yeah.
Serviceable. Darnell Mooney.
He's straight. Yeah, he's real actually.
He's real.
Yeah, he's real.
Could be an every week starter on something.
Yes.
Okay. Agreed. And then Drake London looking like
he looked good.
Okay. All right. We're good. Kirk Cousins. Should you roster Kirk Cousins?
You can roster him, but don't be excited.
Agreed.
All right. Chuba Hubbard, league winner.
We'll see.
I mean,
I'm monitoring Jonathan Brooks' status. Jonathan,
are y'all starting Chuba Hubbard this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Not even no. No, thank you.
Man.
I mean, Chuba's looked good.
He's not looking good with
Bryce Young. Yeah. I gotta look deeper in that, man. That Bryce Young news.
Yeah, he is not looking good with Bryce Young.
That's very new news, and I have to look deeper into the situation.
Right? And they're playing. Who are they playing?
The
Broncos.
Yeah, you're right. But the thing about the Panthers,
you're not
in all the games, because the Panthers have the Panthers won a game this year?
I don't think so.
Are they 0-6, 0-7?
It might be.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy. But anyway, even all the games they've been losing, they still have been determined.
They beat the Raiders.
They beat the Raiders?
Raiders so trash. Anyways,
and they got blown out last week by Mariota.
I know. But even the games where they're getting beat badly, like even that last week, they're still using Chuba. Like he's still getting like he's still being. It's almost like you just said about the Titans.
If Andy Dalton,
Chubb and Pollard is like the same thing right now.
Yeah.
they're not. If Andy Dalton was in there,
Hey,
I would be 100% starting Chubb.
but
Remember we talked about
Bryce Young. I keep forgetting about the Bryce Young part.
Yeah.
So I gotta look at it closely.
As soon as Andy Dalton, we talked about this in the chat. As soon as Andy Dalton became quarterback, what was the first thing I said?
Yeah.
Welcome back, Chuba.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Deontay. They're going in my starting lineup this week. You
Yeah.
said, are you comfortable
Can
with
you
that?
tell-
I said 100% I'm comfortable
Can
with that.
you remind me of what
100%
Chuba's numbers were the
comfortable.
first couple weeks? I'm just curious.
First couple weeks.
Yeah,
let's
I
go
think Bryce
to,
started week 1 or 2.
1.4 points.
Yeah,
Week 1, 11.6. Week 2, and then he just went off 27.9.
That's what
Week
Andy
3,
Dalton came in.
22 points.
so maybe not. And
4.
again, it's makes me wonder if I would have played him even if Dalton was there, because the Broncos, you know how I feel about the Broncos defense.
Yeah.
But obviously, this does knock him down a notch or 2 or 3 or maybe 10. So
He's definitely bench worthy. Like, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Like,
he's not an automatic
no, I'm
start.
telling you, man, you better look at your teams. You got 20 starters on there. Not everybody's starting every week.
Is New Orleans about to implode? Like, can we really count on Kamara now that Rattler?
You haven't been able to count on Kamara for the last few weeks.
That's true, but is it time to put him on the bench? And
Yeah.
No, I mean
You should
he's
put him
almost
on
like
the
you got to
bench
look at the matchup now. You got to like read
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
It's not an automatic start
Exactly.
like we were just
Exactly.
mentioning. Who the Saints playing this week? The Falcons?
let's go.
Didn't they
and
play
see.
the Falcons already this season? No, they didn't.
They're a division team, so
No, they're not playing the Falcons. Who they playing?
they are
I think the Falcons are playing the
playing.
Buccaneers.
Hold on, give me 1 second. Week 8. I don't know why I clicked on the Panthers again.
We need the TV
Whatever.
format.
Right.
Yeah, I
TV
know.
timeout.
Oh, regardless though, like Kamara. I mean, even going into the games, I wasn't feeling comfortable with Kamara because
Playing the Chargers
That's not a
rough.
great matchup. Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
in LA too.
Oh, that's even more.
But LA is coming off a Monday night game. Don't sleep on that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a good point.
And Saints played on Thursday, so
And then you really have to ask yourself, what other options you have available?
and Kamara, Kamara can get you 4 or 5
Right.
catches. So
He has
even
a
in
solid
that game,
floor.
Yeah.
Like
it's
even
not
last
too
week,
bad.
he didn't do anything, but I think
He's
he
hard
still
to say.
scored double-digit
He's
points.
hard to say. And if Olave comes back, that helps open things up.
Yeah.
What we really need, I don't understand why they are starting not Ritter.
Rattler,
Yeah,
Rattler.
Rattler. I don't understand.
who would you prefer?
Who's the other guy that came
Hayner?
in? Yeah, Hayner looked good. Hayner looked
Mm.
really good when he
I
came
think
in.
they
It was
both-
in very small sample size,
I
but he
think
looked
they're
good.
both food, man. I think they're both gonna get destroyed.
Hayner looks like he may make mistakes, but at least he looks like he can throw a good ball. He
Did
can
you
get
see the way he
balls
looked when he
moving.
came in for the game for Carr? He looked horrible. They both look horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this.
Yeah.
The coaches have seen both of them in practice
Yeah.
all year.
Yeah.
Carr got hurt in the game. I don't even know if Rattler was active, but when they went to practice that week, they can't say, you know what? We started.
He starts-
So
That guy.
take that for what you want. You know what I'm saying? So
You sure? No, that guy.
I should have held that
That
last
guy.
question. I should have held that last question about imploding for this week because obviously Tampa Bay had a terrible game last week where Mike Evans is obviously going to be out this week.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin is
Man,
obviously
can I
out.
pour some mushroom
man.
on your carpet?
Oh
You
man,
pour some drink stuff, man. That hurt.
That hurt,
That
yeah.
hurt. That hurt.
they are
They got me.
extremely banged up, and then you can't really rely on the running game because they both, have a three-headed. I shouldn't call it a three-headed monster, but a three running back committee with Bucky Irvin, Rashad White, and who's third running back that I'm leaving at?
Sean Tucker.
Sean Tucker. Yeah.
I think it's still
I'm
more
actually okay
two.
with the running backs.
Yeah, I
though.
think it's still more two-headed. Like
Yeah.
Sean Tucker is
Mhm.
there, but really is.
Yeah, I'm
Bucky
okay
Irvin.
starting Bucky right now.
You're right back
Yeah.
where you started at the very
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah.
The receiver situation sucks, and I don't think there's much for us to say about it.
Who's your guy? Well,
That's the question I was going to. Who was the guy I ended up
Yeah.
picking up? For me, it's not McMillan.
Exactly. For me, it's actually Sterling Shepard.
For me, it's Trey Palmer.
We go like
We'll see.
Yeah, we gonna
We'll see.
And I don't know.
We can put a board on the ball and see
Yeah.
how it plays
I'm
out.
not,
But
I'm not
long
really
story short, it's not
confident either.
McMillan for me.
Yeah.
And I
yeah,
know that's like the immediately after happened, the instant reaction everywhere I saw was
Yeah.
McMillan,
Yeah.
the number one waiver.
That's where my mind went too. But then
It
you
did
just
for me
look at
too.
him. He just looks eh.
Yeah.
And but the same thing with Trey Palmer, like because we were big, we had to like make a decision. Are we gonna cut Trey Palmer? Like,
I know.
no, we can't cut Trey Palmer. We can't cut Trey.
I know.
But like watching him, like, yeah, he has some plays here or there, but then I seen Sterling Shepard and remember the Juju like pick up, and I was like, he's like, you'll pick up Juju. It's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna pick up.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of feel about
The benefit with Sterling Shepard is he obviously is the seasoned vet. He has the rapport with Baker from college, right?
And I feel like he needs to
And
play the
they've used
slot.
him. Yeah, he's a slot. He's only a slot. Like he can't play outside. He's a slot guy. So that's the benefit with Sterling. With Palmer, out of everybody there, he's the longest tenured Buck receiver right now.
Yeah.
Like honestly, it's crazy to think about that. He has that game breaking speed.
He does.
Like he has that deep speed. So he almost has that Juwan Jennings type, ability in him. And then I think I saw he actually ran a lot, like the most routes out of everybody on the team last week.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. Like they already trust him to go out there. Now I think he only got like maybe 3 targets, 1 catch or something like that. But he just has that special trait. Huh?
So he was running wind sprints.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But he just has that special trait that I like to see. And again,
for me, go pick up Cade Otton.
Cade Otton for sure. But for me, I'm always trying to say who has the highest ceiling, right? Who?
Why?
Man, he makes some horrible decisions sometimes.
Why?
So you're plus minus a ceiling.
You're plus minus.
So
I told you he was in the shitter. I told you he was in the shitter.
Yeah, you need to work on your plus
Looking like Bronny James out there, nigga. He out there though.
He looking like snail. He got the 0 for 0 for 0 for 33 minutes.
Oh man,
Tony Snell. He's a Tony Snell of fantasy football.
Oh man.
Let's talk about the AFC North.
No, real quick, I just want to say one last thing. Again, I'm always looking for the highest potential ceiling.
Yeah.
Right. Who can give me the biggest payoff? Because we're trying to win these tournaments. So that's kind of why I lean Palmer. Same reason I lean Hunt when we were having that Carson Steele Hunt discussion.
Let's go to the AFC North, Baltimore Ravens. Listen, is Mark Andrews back? Is it real? I mean, he's had the last 3 weeks have been pretty solid. 22 points last week, 17 points the week before that, and then 11 points the week
it's all touchdown related. Like Mark Andrews is not being matriculated down the field as a target to me the way he used to.
Yeah.
Like even Bateman, like used to be more just Zay was a thorn in his side, likely, but now Bateman is coming on. And before
Bateman actually looks pretty good.
And before none of these options were available to Lamar, so Mark Andrews was the guy.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews is still the red zone target, obviously. Like he got those 2 touchdowns.
I don't know. I will say this. I think based on the previous games, I'm not, you're not looking at if you actually like watching like play by play, thinking, oh yeah, he's being used.
Now I'll say this real quick before you continue. I'm gonna play Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Like there's not many other options available.
He's in a lot.
Yeah, he's in a lot now. I'm just not expecting much. I'm expecting C's and B's.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting A's.
But what I'm saying is like, look at what the Ravens have put on tape as far as Lamar and obviously Derrick Henry, Mr. League winner himself. Like, you can't continue to put this out on tape and then just not have teams just start selling out to stop those two and saying, you know what, Lamar, we're gonna make you beat us in the passing game. So I think if, like going into like the 3rd and 4th quarter of the season, like if teams really start selling out, because Andrews is getting open. He is open. So like if they are no longer able to kind of get some of these easy passes, like you may start seeing that 6-7 target mark.
But the problem is
his targets are like high value targets.
But the problem is it's not just the Mark Andrews show anymore. They're using Likely a lot, which they used him okay in my last year. But now they're even starting to use Charlie Kohler. Like, where did he come out from all of this? So like,
that's a bit annoying.
He's getting targets in the first quarter. Like, go sit down. Yeah. We don't need you, bro.
Yeah.
Because
like, we're good out here.
I really not. And he looks way too much like Mark Andrews.
Exactly. That's why I'm pissed off. Like, bro, like, why are you getting the catch right now? You should have been on the sideline. Mark Andrews can run that same route, man. Like, what are you doing? So, I don't know what's going on. The offensive coordinator just feels like fortunately, we haven't seen too much Aguilar.
Yeah. That's been
so that would just piss me off, right? But just all these tight ends, like, bro, we don't need all of y'all, man. So,
all right, Cincinnati Bengals. Listen, Higgins has finally arrived. I mean, he looks pretty good last few weeks. Is that real? Can you count on T?
Y'all have been underestimated. I've been trying to tell y'all about Higgins for a long time.
It's real. You definitely been a big Higgins proponent. I think Jamar Chase has been getting so much attention. It's like teams are so scared of him,
but they're getting burnt off. Like, why are they doing that?
Yeah. They're getting burnt.
Like them allocating all these resources to Chase as if that's going to benefit them because now they're letting Higgins go off.
Yeah, and so if Higgins continues to do that, like that's going to open things up for Chase.
Hopefully, man.
Yeah, but like, Chase is still getting his. Like Chase is good, man. He is the best wide. Well, him and Jefferson.
Yeah, Jeff.
One
Saturday.
and one.
Man, I would love for us to figure out a
1-1.
way to figure out of those two who was the best. The
Yeah.
only way I can do it
Yeah.
is I have to go back to college when they were both on the same team
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
field together. And in that instance, it was Chase.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a question, it was Chase.
Yeah.
Now I see what they're doing in the league right now,
Yeah.
but it's hard, right? It's like
Yeah.
apples to
Yeah.
oranges, different offenses,
Chase
different
is like- but
competition.
Chase is just he's like a beast. Like the way he like, I mean, he dude is a beast.
The crazy thing is,
Dude's a
he's
beast.
not the biggest, he's not the fastest. I don't even
But
think
he
he has,
looks the biggest, and he plays the biggest, and he plays the fastest.
yeah, he played. I don't even think he has the best hands, but he's just so good at everything.
Yeah.
I don't even know who I can compare him to. Maybe he's
He's
one of
sick.
one.
He's sick. T.O. kind of like a T.O.
Maybe T.O. wasn't even. I mean, T.O. was bigger than
Who
him.
was
though.
way bigger.
Yeah,
But
T.O.
T.O.
was
was big.
bigger.
What I'm saying, like T.O. played big. T.O. plays fast. T.O. like
Well,
ran
T.O.
all the
was
routes.
big and he was fast, so he actually was that. Chase was like embodying that, I guess. So
Are we just throwing away the Cleveland Browns?
Wait, real quick. Bengals. What you doing
No.
with Zach Moss?
not starting him.
No,
Okay,
me.
good.
Waiting for Chase to get hurt.
You trusting any tight end or holding on to any tight end?
No.
for the Bengals.
No,
Eric
Drop
Gall's
him
call.
off. Drop
Drop
him
him off. There you go.
drop
Okay.
them all until one of them, rises.
All right.
Okay. Kicker.
No,
Dropped him.
I dropped
really?
his
Dropped
ass.
him too.
Oh, I dropped his ass so quick, bro.
I dropped it too.
We can have a whole podcast about kickers if y'all want to.
Yeah,
because-
sure.
That's 35% of the chat discussion.
What?
Yep.
What? Kickers?
And it's been like that's been like in a very
Bro.
important discussion.
Kickers is like a science for us, man.
Yeah.
Like we take that seriously. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Deshaun Watson is obviously.
Are you asking anybody on the Browns? Sorry, I'll let you ask your question.
All right. All right.
Upgrade.
Are we throwing away the Cleveland Browns?
Oh wait, I'm buying.
No,
I'm
I'm
buying.
buying.
Njoku?
Cedric Tillman was like probably my favorite ad.
Yeah,
I'll see if I actually got him.
I was taking Hillman. I was taking Moore.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got Njoku.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was fucking taking PR Strong. Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
You got some reps? Come on.
Sneaky one. James Winston.
Oh yeah,
James
yeah,
Winston.
yeah, for sure.
Like
sure.
if you need a quarterback
Sure.
randomly, or like you're struggling, or you have I have like maybe like one or two
You think
teams. that are
Jameis
just-
still got it in him though to really?
It's that
Yeah, no,
coach. Look at what that's the coach that made Flacco look good
Exactly.
last year.
Exactly.
Mm.
That
But-
offense.
The thing about
I'll say that.
But
I'll say, but
they-
they changed their
they-
the play
yeah,
caller.
and they actually changed the play caller too.
So now we have to look Ken Dorsey what he did with the Bills.
Yeah.
But even the Bills, he was throwing the ball. Yeah. Bro,
That's like-
bro, I'm saying it all works. The
Yeah.
stars are aligning.
So like if you got a team where like you like just been like you don't really have like a upside quarterback like
Mhm.
that's the teams where I'm like okay shoot let me throw a dart at Winston, let me throw a dart at Drake May. Like if I miss out on that the two sweepstakes, those are the teams where you just like throw these darts because you don't know. Like nobody could have told you that Flacco was gonna like finish the league, finish like the last like half of
Yeah, he was going
last
crazy.
season.
Like you didn't even want to believe. You watched 5 weeks of it, and you're just like, I
Nobody
don't know.
believed it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You just mentioned something real quick, and I know we're gonna get to the Dolphins
Yeah.
if we haven't already. But
Mhm.
there was a lot of Tua out on waivers for the last 3 weeks, and once the very first moment I heard that they were considering bringing him back after his IR stint, I was starting to add him everywhere.
Yep.
And he was just so easy to get with such cheap amount.
Dollars.
And I'm
Yeah.
disappointed in people that weren't doing it because he was a quarterback that was available with the current quarterback landscape, with the disappointments in the top 12 quarterbacks that were drafted. Tua was free. Tua, we know we've seen him put up great numbers. Maybe not top end numbers, but still great enough to where you'll be happy.
Yeah.
Great coach. Still the weapons are there. I saw Tyreek put something out today where
We're
he's telling the fantasy managers, "Hey, we're back.
Started.
Put me in your
We're
starting
back.
lineup. Go
He's
time."
Tua said he's not wearing a special helmet.
Hey,
He's not wearing the Guardian helmet.
Tua
Like,
said, "Man, hey, I'm about to come out here and do some work."
yeah, he look. That's what I got. From
He's
him.
about to come out here and do some work. So,
Yeah.
like, I say all that to say, I'm starting Tua in a fair amount of bases.
Me too. Me too. Me too.
I don't even know if I'm nervous. I'm almost like,
I'm kind of nervous.
Ever, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, so we'll see.
Almost as nervous as I was with Russell Wilson starting Russell Wilson.
You started Russell last week?
I didn't, but I thought
Oh,
about it
I'm
in my
How
home.
about
I'm
plus one?
Nah, he's still Tony Snell. He's still Tony
I
Snell.
stuck with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They looked pretty decent behind Russell Wilson. Looks like it unlocked that.
So wait,
factor.
you picked up Russ?
I picked up Russ.
So
I'm out of the
you're-
home league.
Oh, home league.
Yeah, not
Okay.
NFL.
Superflex?
No, I just picked him up.
Man, we got to talk to you about in a 1 QB league.
Yeah,
Why?
Because I needed a backup quarterback, and I'm sort of streaming.
You don't need a
don't
backup.
need
Why do you
backup
feel like you
quarterback.
need a backup quarterback?
Because I was starting Justin Fields for the longest,
Okay.
and so like I didn't feel comfortable starting Russ right out the gate.
So who did you start?
Herbert.
Damn, bro, you do not do a good job getting your quarterback.
No,
bro.
man, I was down bad.
I'm real disappointed right now.
Hey, what are we doing,
You're the
man?
one that knows I got dropped too.
He really is 40 now.
Oh man. So okay, it's all good, man. So go ahead, ask your question.
I don't even know what I was going to ask. I mean, how do y'all feel about the Steelers offense?
Hey. No, the Steelers offense. I don't know. I think Pickens is in play now.
Mhm.
And Freiermuth might be in play. I don't know what to make of the running back. Like,
Yeah.
we're not excited about Najee, but Jalen Warren hasn't shown anything.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah,
I
that
guess you
window's
got to
closed.
roll with Najee.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he definitely opens up the offense for a couple different reasons. One, like they just seem to be moving the ball a little bit better.
Mhm.
And he opens up certain parts of the passing game that just Fields just cannot unlock.
Is there an option on the Steelers now that you're willing to play that you weren't willing to play before?
No.
No, but I was not starting Pickens pretty much almost every single week.
Okay.
This week I was like, oh yes.
What about going forward if Russ
Going
was a
forward,
guy?
yes. Like
So
going
Pickens
forward,
is auto lock.
Pickens is probably going to be very close to an auto lock just because Russ loves throwing that deep ball. That's the one thing that he's good at.
Yeah.
The boom
Pickens
balls.
is probably one of the best contested catch players that I've seen like in a long.
So you think you actually think it boosted Pickens there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah.
this is the biggest thing too. Is like Justin Fields had so much fantasy production that he kept to himself. He was he was greedy. He was selfish. You know, he would run in touchdowns. He would run for like 50, 60 yards. Russell Wilson's not running for 40, 50 yards. I think he did get a rushing touchdown, but that's like an unlikely scenario, you know? So that's more production for everybody else, you know? You're not getting that 50, 60 yards of just offense that's just only going towards the quarterback.
I missed the second half of the game last week. I had to put the girls down to sleep and I fell asleep. How did
But does this necessarily help Freiermuth though?
I think it
I
does.
think so. I think
it
so.
does.
Because he throws the ball down the field, and I don't really see Freiermuth.
kind of operates.
No,
kinda
but
all over.
he don't just throw the ball down the field. He throws the ball.
Well, you're right.
He
you're right.
throws the ball, right?
He wants to push the ball.
Yeah,
down.
he's going. Freiermuth can run those seam routes. Freiermuth is against sneaky athletic. But my question was, how did Najee look last week? I didn't watch the second half. So did he look good?
Yeah,
Because I saw he got over 100 in a touchdown.
he looks good. He actually
Okay.
looks good. He looks good. He doesn't look
So, yeah.
slow. He doesn't look like he's running in the mud. Like he looks good.
Okay.
All
The
right.
diet worked.
All right. NFC North, Chicago Bears. Are you guys rostering Caleb?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Seems like he's
would.
getting better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, see, you asked,
I think
you
he's-
asked me
I
this
think
question.
he's-
You should have been rostering Caleb.
Yeah. I think he's
But
a
that's the quarterback I dropped. That's exactly who I dropped. I dropped Caleb. Somebody
For
snatched him
Herbert?
up for- No. I dropped him for Fields.
so you had Caleb and Herbert.
No, I had Caleb and Justin Fields.
You said you dropped Caleb for Fields.
He dropped Caleb
Yeah.
instead of Fields.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You dropped Caleb for Herbert.
No, hold on. No, I only picked up Herbert because Fields wasn't going to be the starting quarterback anymore.
Oh, so you only had one quarterback for a while,
Oh yeah,
and it was Caleb, and you dropped Caleb for Fields,
yeah.
And
And
then-
then when I had
and then you
Fields,
picked Herbert, and then
I
you're like,
said,
yeah, let me get Russ as well.
yeah, let me get
Okay,
Russ.
whatever. Oh, so no, Caleb, I think is great. I think Caleb is actually good,
Mhm.
and here's the crazy thing about Caleb. I think he can play better,
Oh
Yeah.
and that's crazy because he's been putting up good fantasy numbers. He's been, I
He
mean, now
runs.
all his options are starting to get involved. DJ Moore has been involved.
Mhm.
Keenan Allen had a great game
Yeah.
last week. I mean, not last week, they were on bye, but the week prior.
Yeah.
And Romo Duze, is starting to, get more acclimated to the offense. Cole Kmet's been used a
I
fair
did not see
amount.
that coming.
DeAndre
So
Swift
surprised.
is like, I don't know what they need a drug test. DeAndre Swift.
Nah, bro. Come on now.
No, for real.
I already lost too many players.
You know what?
I've lost too
It's
many
like
players.
saying James Williams, bro. Like I know how to see this DeAndre Swift for all these years, and then all of a sudden,
That's exactly DeAndre Swift. That's literally what I was like trying to express this offseason. You get him in space, you get him in the passing game, and he's electric.
yeah. Well,
He's not a traditional running
Well,
back.
like I said, that helps Caleb Williams as well.
Yeah.
So this great, he has a great ecosystem. And on top of
Yeah.
all of this, that defense
Yeah.
is playing great. Now, with
Yeah.
that being said, they have some tough matchups coming up, so
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. maybe it benefits Caleb even more because he's in a shootout.
Yeah.
But that defense has been able to give him short fields to work with. Be able to give him the ball more often because they're able to kind of, basically contain the opposite offense. So, I mean, I think Caleb is a great option. If he's out there, I would definitely pick him up.
Yeah.
I don't think he's out there very much at all, but if he is, definitely prioritize him.
And also, been telling y'all this for a couple years. Stop listening to people who say just draft one quarterback. You don't need one quarterback.
Y'all just got on me for having two quarterbacks.
That's a home league, bro. That's a home league. Okay. And
You don't need to do that home league.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, like these like deep bench leagues, like yes, horror quarterbacks, like strangle your opponents, but also like I get to choose week in and week out. Like if there's one position where I feel like really, really comfortable as far as figuring out based on point total and pass, et cetera, like it's the quarterback position. So that's the position that scores the most points. I've never understood the idea of like, oh, just draft one quarterback or like ignore the quarterback. Like that is the position that literally scores the most points in your fantasy team. We will draft running back handcuffs all day.
Let me ask you a question.
It made no sense to me.
On that topic, because
I
actually was going through this mental exercise yesterday when I was going through the waiver, just kind of looking at things. Two specific quarterbacks, Lamar and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
My question is, this is my question, but I need to preface it with a few things afterwards. My question is, do you feel like it's a priority to have backup quarterback on the teams with those quarterbacks?
No.
And I asked that to say, well, you just answered, but I asked that to say, number one, keep in mind Lamar's bye week is week 14, which is the playoff championship in FFPC. So if you needed a quarterback that week, which obviously you do, there's not going to be anybody else playing. Right. And if you're not in the playoffs, you're not, it doesn't matter anyway. And then Josh Allen, he's week 12, which is the last week of the season in FFPC. You might, but at that point,
it's lucky.
I don't know, because at that point, if you do have a backup quarterback, the only reason you have him is for that 1 week. Because every other week you're playing Josh Allen, or
in case your quarterback gets hurt.
But you know, I feel like quarterback is one position you don't really need to ensure you have a backup plan if there's an injury.
So I agree. Like those truly elite quarterbacks where like in my mind, I'm never going to question, am I taking this guy? Like I'm never taking Josh. I have Josh Allen. I have a Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels team. I don't even think about like switching out between two. I have a Lamar and Burrow team. It's always Lamar. The answer is always Lamar. The answer is always Josh Allen. But I have those guys as backup. But I also have a team where it's like I just only have a Lamar. I just only have a Josh Allen. And a lot of it's just depending on like who's on waivers. So like if Cedric Tillman's there, you know, I could throw a dollar bill at whoever. If there's like players that like could really contribute,
by the way,
then I'm only going to have one quarterback.
To go even further, you just mentioned his name, and we glossed over it when you brought up the team earlier. But I like to hammer it a little bit harder. Cedric Tillman, I think it's good. And Abby was the one that mentioned his name in our group chat, but I looked closer into him. I think he's a guy, like a guy. I think he might be the wide receiver one for the Browns going forward, and he's talented. Cedric Wilson played on Tennessee. For I want to say 4 years with Jalen Hyatt. For the first 3 years, maybe it was only 2, he was the guy, the main guy by far. He got hurt his last season, and then Jalen Hyatt ended up getting a lot more burn. Jalen Hyatt won the Blitnikoff Award that year.
He won that bullshit offense, and he was like just wide open.
Right. So, but I say all that to say was Cedric Tillman was what was holding Hyatt back. You know, and now that they're in the league, I think it was a lot of opportunity that he wasn't receiving, or maybe you know the offense was just so bad. But now new quarterback,
and this is what I'm thinking.
He's a guy there.
This is what I'm thinking. You know, we always kind of say this after the fact, but Winston was the backup. Cedric Tillman
was a backup. They had practice reps together.
Practice
reps, for sure. So I'm sorry. I went back to the Browns. So going back, I don't even know what we were talking about. I just went on a crazy tangent.
But let's move forward to the Detroit Lions. Are you guys both still starting Montgomery and?
Hell yes. Why would you not?
Bro, injury?
If you're asking these type of questions, we gotta have a talk.
No, I'm talking about moving forward because obviously Montgomery is banged up. It's banged up. Do you still feel comfortable? Montgomery.
He went out the game and then came right back. I don't even think he missed a play. Because I saw him. He got hurt. He went to the sideline. No, he didn't miss a play. No, I don't think he missed a play because I think they were rotating series.
He was hurt.
He was rotating series, but he came back.
He did come back.
He
But
came back.
Sometimes players come back and then then things start to swell and then they.
I mean, even if it starts to swell, even if he misses this next week,
he's coming right back.
if he's active, he's in your starting lineup. Don't question that at all. So
that offense is too elite.
It's too elite. That's the ecosystem I'm referring to. Like I said with the Ravens,
that was a miss for me because I was just like, man, I feel like I gotta. That's what I'm gonna change differently next year. And I keep saying, I like literally not even listening to myself. Like you can have two of these guys.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, man, I gotta pick one. Which one do I want? I was like, I'm just gonna go with the more younger, athletic guy.
Mm-hmm.
That should just been grabbing both, or grabbing everybody on that team. Like
knee contusion is back at practice today. So,
see, he's gonna play, bro.
Montgomery, though, man. Montgomery is he does not like to miss time.
That's one of those injuries where you just forget about it even happened in a few weeks. Like, oh yeah, he was hurt that one time.
All right. Anything to talk about with the Green Bay Packers? I mean, I feel like nothing.
Wait. Sorry. One last thing with the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
So now that JMO is out, are you picking up any other Lions wide receiver? If so, who is Sam Laporta ever going to come back to being a useful tight end?
That's great because he was, I think, the number one tight end drafted. That's really crazy. But for your first question, am I? No. Should I? Probably. And if I was, it would probably be Tim Patrick.
You were pro Tim Patrick or negative Tim Patrick?
I was pro Tim Patrick because he looked good in Denver before the
end. You were worried Tim Patrick was going to take away from J-Mo.
Yeah.
It'll probably be Tim Patrick, but as I say that, I also don't want to ignore how Khalif Raymond looked last game.
Yeah.
He looked good. He runs great routes. They use him. He just looks so much like Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
It's like a redundancy.
Yeah.
And maybe the real answer is just more Amon-Ra. There was a time period where the Lions were just Amon-Ra. That's it. And he was able to handle it. So maybe that's what happens.
Are you starting Jared Goff in leagues? I mean, not are you starting him, but like, are you like literally like active? Like, have you been starting him recently? I feel like I don't have a lot of Goff.
I don't have any Goff.
And so, but I feel like he's just been like really just performing.
You should start him. You should start. So here's my thing with Goff. And I have a very small amount, but I haven't been playing him. But going into this last week, and I have a lot of Detroit Lion friends, Detroit Lion fan friends, because I know a lot of people that are from Detroit. So, they talk to me about the Lions all the time. But one thing I was aware about Jared Goff going into last week was in the past, he had a history of struggling with pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would really mess up his game. Like, it would make him totally like a different quarterback.
Yeah.
And going against the Vikings, who, we've seen them look so great in the past with their exotic blitzes, I thought Goff was going to struggle. Like, I actually picked the Vikings to win that game because of that sole reason.
Yeah.
That only reason was that.
Yeah.
But then I watched the game, and it started off like, okay, it's playing out the way I'm saying. Like, when I say it started out like the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
After that, Goff said, nah, this is a different dude right here. And he went off. Yeah. So that showed me right there, Goff is that dude. That ecosystem is great. If you got him, I think he's an every week starter.
Mm-hmm.
Because and on top of that, like, they're a team that, and I love it, they will put their knee on your neck. Like, they're not like, we scored enough points, all right, throw it back up. No.
Yeah, the offense, they're like, are you worried? Like, why? You were up by so much. Did you really want to show teams that? He's like, my bag. He said something like, my bag runs deep.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? I got more where I came from. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was throwing past the offensive lineman, bro. Like, he was doing all that stuff. So that lets me know, man, bro, they're trying to score. Yeah, and if they're trying to score, I'm all for it.
All right, Green Bay Packers. Is there any change in our analysis on Green Bay? I mean, obviously Tucker Kraft is, kind of coming to his own since now he's the sole tight end, but same analysis.
Not for me. I'd probably say I'm a little bit I'm sour on Christian Watson.
Yeah.
He's not really like, for me going into the season, it was just, can Christian Watson stay healthy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If he can stay healthy, he should be the most talented receiver on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Highest draft capital, still young, great skill set. Great. But he hasn't produced that way.
Yeah.
Dobbs is produced. Wicks is produced. Wicks has looked horrible, but it's still being used a lot.
Yeah.
And it's produced. And then Jaden Reed, who's probably their best receiver on that team.
See, like to me, like no one they use everybody, clearly.
Yeah.
But I
feel they don't use Musgrave.
He's on IR.
Yeah, he's on IR.
Even when he wasn't on IR, he wasn't.
Yeah.
But they use a lot, but I think each of them has their own unique skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dubs is a great possession wide receiver. His hands are like elite.
Mm-hmm.
His hands are elite. And like, I feel like if it's like 3rd and 7 and they need to like get this first down, like that's where they're going. They're going to Dubs. Christian Watson is like the speedster on that team. So he's gonna be the best guy that like you could like throw a slant and take it to the house. You know, you got like a certain play call where you like get the defense going one way, or just like having.
They use him in the red zone too, though.
Yeah.
Like they could. I mean,
yeah, exactly. In red zone's red. Jaden Reed is like that Swiss Army knife. I mean, yeah, he does a lot of some good stuff as a wide receiver, but he's just like very athletic with the ball. He's explosive with the ball. Like that's his thing. And they just have such a creative head coach and offense where he just like gets the most out of everyone. And then they have a quarterback who understands that like, hey, I'm going with where the play is designed or where defense takes me. It's because you see, like, it seems like their offense is almost effortless at times. To me, it's almost like I'm really starting to put him above like everyone else, or at this current time point. I feel like the league hasn't caught up to his offense yet. Like, I feel like LaFleur. I feel like the league is kind of caught up to Shanahan's offense. League is caught up to Sean McVay's offense because they like been so elite for so long. But I feel like LaFleur is just like hiding out in the wings and like every week is just doing something so unique. And he has a quarterback that's bought into the system. He has these young core of wide receivers that they're going to have for a while. Now you throw in a tight end. Like, there's just so many ways that they can beat you.
I mean, I think the answer really is just Jordan Love. Love. And I drafted a small amount of him. I mean, I was high on him, but I didn't draft as much as I wanted to. But I think Jordan Love is showing he has that gunslinger mentality. He got paid, so money's not a concern of his anymore. He's playing free. He has the talent. I mean, he hasn't even shown his true running ability, and I know he got that in his bag. So, it's crazy. I mean, wheels up again. Another one of those ecosystems that you just love with the Packers.
Yeah, Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, they started hot. Just lost their first game last week. Obviously, they have Justin Jefferson, who is a lineup lock. Jordan Addison is their number 2, is close to a lineup lock as well. Aaron Jones, man. Father Time just hasn't caught up with him yet.
Tell you,
he looks
y'all
good.
waiting on that injury. he looks really good. Addison is not a lineup lock for me though.
You don't think so?
Not for me. But Aaron Jones, like he has just been elite. I love how they're using him. Like, not much has really changed with this team. The only thing that's going to change that I'm just like waiting on is TJ Hockenson. I'm like, I can't wait. Like, I think we may, get our first.
You think he's back tomorrow?
Yeah, I think he's back tomorrow. I'm not starting him. Like, for me, like this is definitely gonna be a wait and see. There's been like a lot of like late round tight ends that have hit. Like the tight end landscape like looks really good. I should have just listened. Should have just like drafted him late. I should have just kept like doing what we've been doing like the last few years. Just waited tight end. But Hockenson is definitely one of those guys that I'm looking forward to getting in some lineup.
But they weathered the storm with him. So
when Hockenson comes back, what's going to change? Like, what's going to happen?
Well, I feel like guys have been hurt, granted, but I feel like the pass game really has not like taken off. Like they've had like spike weeks, but I feel like Hawkinson's really going to open up that ad. I feel like that's what they're missing.
Are you saying that they're going to then pass more?
No, I feel like things will be. Yes, not necessarily pass more, but I feel like there will be more dependable targets, more catchable targets. Like,
so who takes a dip?
Addison takes a dip. Naylor takes a dip.
Who?
Addison.
Naylor?
And Addison takes
I don't even think Naylor's really getting used that much anymore.
Again, with an added weapon to the offense, a more efficient offense.
Do you think it affects Aaron Jones?
Say what?
Aaron Jones?
Not much. I don't think Aaron Jones is like being overly used in the passing game.
I mean, not being overly used in the passing game, but just do you think, because you just said maybe they pass more, so do you think it's less runs for Aaron Jones?
No, I just think the offense is more efficient.
Okay.
So I think it's like more plays, more scoring opportunities.
Okay, then with all that, and to wrap this all up, do you think then that increases Sam Darnold's value?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Then Sam Darnold then is maybe a startable option.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to AFC East. Buffalo Bills. Obviously, Amari Cooper comes over, has a pretty decent week 1 or first week with Buffalo. 16.6 fantasy points, scores a touchdown, 4 catches, 66 yards. Do we think that Amari Cooper is going to be able to continuously put up those kind of numbers in that offense?
This was literally the best trade ever in my fantasy history career. Of me just having like a lot of a player and him just ending up in a spot. I just feel like he could absolutely explode.
Mm-hmm.
He is no different than Stephon Diggs. He's no different than Stephon Diggs in this offense.
Mm.
So I don't necessarily know they're going to go back to that offense
Yeah.
again, but I just feel like in terms of like Josh Allen looking for like a reliable guy,
Mm-hmm.
because I'll let Dale talk about Kincaid, but like now he actually now he actually has a guy, you know, that he can depend on, who can move the chain, but can operate over all parts of the field. It can be explosive, and you can actually use, you know, can be a red zone weapon. And they're in the red zone constantly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
You just want to speak on Kincaid?
Yeah.
I mean, y'all know how
Yeah.
I was on the island with that one for a long time. People were coming to me on Twitter talking about, hey, we're gonna, you know, Kincaid, you're wrong about him. I mean, like I said, man, I just haven't seen him be a main option for the Bills.
Yeah.
And even now, he's still not a main. He's good. And if they did give him that role, I think he would flourish.
Yeah.
Like it was never a knock on his talent. I just didn't trust that they were going to give him that role. And now you add Cooper in there, Shakir, which I was kind of I was undervaluing him going to the season. I should have been a little bit more higher on him.
Same.
Keon Coleman is kind of starting to show a little bit of promise.
Yeah.
You know, Knox, they haven't buried Knox.
Right.
And I told you they're not going to bury because they just paid him. They like him.
Yeah.
He has rapport. They trust him.
Yeah.
And then you add Cooper, and then you have now they're throwing deep passes to Ray Davis. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from? Ty Johnson getting passes.
Drill.
Yeah.
Like they have all these options.
Yeah.
And there's only so many footballs going. Not to mention Josh Allen still will run the ball and run it in himself. So I mean, Kincaid, I don't know what to do with Kincaid. If you like the problem and the same sentiment with a lot of these tight ends, they were just drafted too high.
Too high not to start them.
Yeah, they just drafted too high. And it's like, guys, like you could have. You would say you could have drafted somebody else, but then I think, okay, who could have drafted? The only people I could think they're probably all injured. So maybe it doesn't even matter, right? Maybe it's all a wash. But you know.
So speaking of injury, let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. We talked about Tua at length coming back. Is Waddle gonna be a playable option?
I'm playing
once Tua comes back.
All of them going back.
I'm playing. I think all of them. I think it's back to status quo.
My lineups.
Yeah, I think it's back to status quo.
I hope so.
The only person I'm a little hesitant on yet, and that's only because I haven't watched Dolphins game. I don't want to watch that trash product, but I don't know what I'm gonna do about Mostert yet.
He's on the bench for me
because Mostert, the very first game of the season, he got hurt. So I haven't seen him with Tua healthy for a full game. So I want to see it.
Bring it back to me. Bring it back to me. Bring it back to me. It's making me feel so weak. Feeling like a puppet controlled by some strings. It's killing me 'cause I just can't say